This story was born from what I consider to be the most puzzling, scary, and hilarious verse in the Bible. And that's, of course, James 1, verse 1. It's called Patience Power. The excitement of this reunion gets wilder every year. And what else would you expect when seasoned warriors from around the world get together with each other and a bunch of new recruits to restart the competition side of the craziest contest in history? As a pretty good crowd starts to form, let's recap how we got here. As you'll remember, years ago, a huge group first entered a contest by accepting a simple invitation from its founder. He showed them piles of prizes they could win with no entry fee or anything. They could see that winning would set them up for life, so they jumped right in. And then came the bombshell. In the very first week, before they'd done anything to compete, they were all awarded an entire pile of prizes each. What? Talk about breaking the internet. All of this went totally viral. No one in the world expected that. What was this guy thinking? First of all, why were the prize piles so huge? And second, why give them all away before the contestants did anything? Full disclosure, while all the prizes were awarded, they weren't all instantly delivered. Each contestant got the title to everything, but not everything was immediately available for pickup. The founder, who they hadn't actually met yet, told them they could request any of the prizes anytime and they'd be sent out. Even though he and his son were out of the country on business, he set up kind of a global Siri or Alexa system. So wherever they were, all they had to do was ask, and their stuff would ship. Now, the delivery might take some time, but he guaranteed it would come. Apparently, the whole reason for the contest was to go public with a universal supply company that he founded. He just wanted to show how good their merchandise and service were to the whole world. Now, even though most of the prizes hadn't been delivered yet, winning had already changed everybody's life. Before, a lot of them were kind of sullen and always worried about stuff. Others came in with a sadness that kind of looked depressing. But now, after winning, they walked tall. Confidence levels were off the charts, and all worries totally disappeared. Now that they knew they were set for life, it made a huge difference in the way they walked and talked. And that's what brought us to this reunion. When the contest actually began, the prizes were awarded. The contestants were told about something totally optional. The founder knew that there'd be some waiting for stuff to be delivered, and that waiting time could possibly be difficult. So he came up with a way to help them deal with it. Remember, this is totally optional, he reminded them. And with that, he showed them the beginning of a military grade obstacle course. You should know that this course will involve barbed wire, mud, bruises, and blood, but it will definitely help you in the delivery of all your prizes, he finished. The obvious question at this point was, why? Why would anybody risk any level of inconvenience, let alone bruises and blood? They already won the prizes. It wasn't like they could win any more. They already won it all. They could just go home and wait for all their new stuff to come in. And the rules of the contest did allow for that. They had won all the prizes. They were under zero obligation to do this thing. So most of them decided they didn't need that kind of help and headed home, celebrating and congratulating each other. The founder did ask them to please tell everybody they could about the contest, because the offer to win individual piles of prizes would still be open for a while. So the more the merrier, and word spread fast. So a lot of people signed up as soon as they heard about the deal. But crazy as it seemed, a lot of people didn't sign up. They figured it was definitely too good to be true, and that there had to be fine print, probably tons of rules. It was no doubt one of those Ponzi deals where everybody gets shafted in the end. They weren't going to risk it. Meanwhile, let's get back to those contest winners who did decide to take on that obstacle course. It seemed crazy, but the contest had totally changed their lives, and if there was a way to gain some help from here, they'll take it. Besides, if a guy like the founder was generous enough to just give them so much, they hoped they could get to know him a little better. And take the course they did. They'd become like a family, and from all over the world every year, they'd show up to run, crawl, and squiggle through mud and barbed wire, facing dangerous challenges and surviving. They always celebrated when they made it through another trial with exhausted high fives and hugs. They reminded each other to ask for stuff from their prize piles that might help them get through the next mess. And while they didn't always get what they asked for in time to spare them some pain, most of those items did get to them just in time. It was almost surreal as one year turned into another and then another. They definitely felt stronger after overcoming so much difficulty. They celebrated the prizes that they had received, and their confidence in their new supplier grew with every delivery. And that confidence helped them to wait harder for anything they hadn't received yet, which they learned early on was the benefit of all the obstacles. Patience? Really? Not forgiveness? Not healing? Not favor? Not stuff? No, they already had all that. Patience proved to be crucial. The contestants who decided to pass on the obstacle course and go home also celebrated the items that they had received from their pile of prizes. But waiting for undelivered prizes became harder and harder. Turned out that they also experienced difficult challenges, kind of like those the obstacle coursers did. They were shocked. They thought they'd be exempt from any obstacles since they didn't sign up for them. This seemed unfair, made them very angry, usually at the founder. And instead of stronger confidence in the new supplier, impatience and anger caused less trust. The trials triggered questions like, why hasn't that come through yet? Is it coming or not? I needed it last week. And sadly, even though they were getting prizes from their piles every week, many started to complain that they weren't getting what they asked for exactly when they asked. Doubts invaded and definitely affected how much they asked for, which definitely affected how much they received. And why ever tell anybody else about a deal that didn't really pay? But the obstacle coursers, who called themselves the OC, were experiencing the opposite. They expected the challenge and that they would actually, and that the challenges would actually help them. And any discomfort or pain reminded them to ask for more from the prizes they won. They figured more need just means more supply. And if they had to wait, then at least they'd be stronger to wait longer. And even though they didn't always get everything they asked for instantly, they kicked each other's butt to keep checking on those deliveries. Plus, they got invited to his son's house every weekend for a little wine and scones and hangout time. Oh, sure, they each talked with him a lot during the week, ordering supplies or celebrating successes or even going over some strategy. And he'd still be out of town, but it was really nice to just have a group hangout at his place for any laughing or crying or cooking stuff. You can probably imagine the fate of each group. The ones who avoided suffering suffered so many disappointments. Seemed like they never got what they asked for, which of course eventually ended their asking. And getting to know the founder, well, they never really got there and they didn't really care. While the OC endured pain of each trial like a weightlifter, developing bigger muscles. Not enjoying the pain, but definitely enjoying the results. And the founder? Well, they were told and they believed that on one of those backyard weekends, he and his son would totally surprise him and show up in person. That would be the biggest celebration of all. And the supply company? Well, after the biggest, most expensive marketing program in history, they became the primary supplier for almost everybody in the world. While it's hard to see how giving life-changing piles of prizes to everybody who signs up could ever be a profitable strategy, the invitation for contestants is still open. When will the offer end? Only the founder knows.